Brad Bresson, pastor here at the Table Church in San Benito. Well, people are still trying to text me. They've been texting me all morning. Anyway, today is Epiphany. It's January 6th. It's the 12th day of Christmas. I walked by the Epiphany cakes yesterday in the Walmart in Los Fresnos and almost bought one, but kind of thought I'm going to end up eating this probably by myself today. But anyway, I thought that would be fun. How many of you are going to be having that today, or have you already had it? Have you done it yet? Okay, good for you. I think that's pretty cool. And always there's always a possibility of getting the little Jesus, baby Jesus figurine, and that means you got to host the next one. I thought it'd be good for us today with Epiphany to myth bust Epiphany. I just think that this story of Jesus being visited by the wise men in Matthew 2, I think it probably has more myths in it than just about any other story we find in the Bible. So as I was thinking about this, let's just talk about this story, talk about it myth busting. We're going to talk about Epiphany this way. And really, Epiphany, we look at it, and we have the cakes, and we have the celebrations, and it is the last day of Christmas on the church calendar. But it's not really about wise men visiting a child in the safe and nice sense. Really, there's a war going on there in Matthew chapter 2 between two kings, Herod and the child king that is being visited by the wise men. So, anyway, I thought it'd be good for us to myth bust this. First of all, here's the thing. The two kings, there are two kings in Matthew, Herod and the child king, baby Jesus, the infant Jesus. The Magi, we don't know that they were kings. We know that they were Magi. They were astrologer-type scholars, probably court advisors. In fact, they're the mirror image in this story. Herod has his court advisors, and the baby king has his court advisors who bring him gifts. But these are Gentiles. They're from outside the country. And they're probably coming from the Babylon area. People always say, where did they find out about this? There's all these speculations. I mean, we talk about myths. They're into astrology, and somehow they saw stars and all this stuff. Well, I tend to think that they had access to Daniel and his teachings, because they're coming from the same area of the world as Daniel and his three friends. Just something to think about. Anyway, we don't know there were kings. Second thing is, we don't know how many there were. You go to any nativity, and there are the shepherds and the baby, and then they got these three wise men, and we sing about the three wise men. We don't know that there were three. We know there were three gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and that's where the legend comes up with the three kings with three gifts. But could have been two, could have been four, could have been eight. We don't know. We just know that there were Magi who were visiting Jesus, but we don't know how many there were. And then, of course, the nativity thing. By the way, I'm not throwing stones at nativities that have the wise men, but they almost certainly didn't show up the night that Jesus was born. Almost certainly weren't there at the same time as the shepherds. Now, some think Jesus could have been in a manger when they show up. That's possible if they're in the same house or in a house that had a manger, because that's also another myth that goes with this, by the way. Jesus was born into some cave somewhere because caves had mangers. Well, come to find out, Bethlehem, being the little town that it was, homes had mangers in the front rooms. So it's quite possible the house that the wise men visit does have a manger, but we don't know that there was a manger there, and we certainly are pretty sure this is not the same time. It's probably sometime later than the shepherds and their visit to the baby Jesus. Here's the other thing about all the stuff going down in Matthew 2, and again, the stuff of documentaries. I mean, I don't know how many documentaries I've seen about this particular piece of the Christmas story, and that is about Matthew's star. And every year there's some new documentary. You see it in the Science Channel or the Nature Channel or even the History Channel about the celestial events that were going on and all the astrology involved. Matthew's star is not normal. It's not a celestial event. in the way that we would think about astronomy. Everything in Matthew seems to indicate that this is a supernatural thing. This is like God creating the fish to swallow Jonah. The star is specific to this event with the wise men. And it has all the earmarks, the way it behaves. It has all the earmarks of being just another way of God's demonstration of his glory presence. Like we had with the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire in the Old Testament, the smoking pot and torch that we find in Genesis, all the different ways that this glory appears and moves and leads. Stars doing the same thing and involving all the same ideas that God's presence is now among us. So that's the star. But it's not merely some light in the sky, some comet, the alignment of the planets, whatever. You hear all of these speculations. This was a supernatural thing. Then there's also this, and I was thinking about this morning. When we were growing up, we didn't think about Epiphany. In fact, didn't really think about Epiphany until I was well into my adulthood. We didn't think about the wise men visit much, except at Christmas. And we would sing 12 Days of Christmas and not really know what the 12 days were. In fact, again, I was well into adulthood before I even knew what that song was talking about. In fact, I always thought it was just the 12 days leading up to Christmas. Come to find out, it's the 12 days after Christmas. And I think a lot of evangelicals that, again, have grown up in the same era that I have, that have been outside the Catholic and the Orthodox traditions, and even Lutheran traditions, didn't think about it much. And so this is all kind of new. And then the questions come up, why are you doing that? Because it matters. It matters. It really does. I've come to believe that this matters even in the Matthew story. Jesus shows up in that house for our salvation. It's not just a pretty story. It's not just one of those things like, oh, hey, we got the kings here. Oh, look at bad hair. Look at what he's doing. We're going to get to that in a second. But we need to look at these stories a little differently. In fact, we talked about that Sunday here, talking about Jesus being in the temple. That was part of the lectionary on Sunday. Luke is talking about Jesus being in the temple, and we look at that story, and yeah, it's a nice story, and we get some morals out of it. All of these stories, Jesus is doing something for our salvation. He's saving you in that moment. It's not just, oh, he's eventually going to save us at the cross, and eventually we're going to blah, 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 blah. That is happening. But, yeah. There's a lot more going on in these stories than just being a nice story and getting some moral out of it. Jesus is saving us in the moment. And that leads to this. Epiphany, probably the last myth here. It's not a be like the wise men story. We come to these stories and we look at the wise men. Oh, they're giving gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We need to bring our gold, our frankincense, our myrrh. We need to bring our gifts to Jesus and lay them at his feet. He's the king. Let's honor him as king. Let's be like the wise men. That's not the way we're supposed to really think about this. Now, there is some sense in which we should do this. That we do this as the result of our salvation. But here's the thing. In this story in Matthew 2, you know where we're supposed to see ourselves? We're Herod. Yeah, we're Herod. We are the Herods in the story. Herod is threatened. He is defensive. He wants control. He is dismissing the whole thing. He's mocking the whole thing. He's out to kill the whole thing. We do the same thing every day. We're always protecting our throne. We always want to win the conversation. We're always about self-preservation. We're always making sure that we're right. We're always making sure that we are the right ones. We're always about the win. That's Herod. That's Herod. And what we need to see is that child in the house that's being worshipped. A child. A child. Something that's vulnerable. Something that's weak. And that's our salvation. You see, God's all about confronting us and challenging our self-sufficiency. Challenging our need for control. Challenging the Herod in us. By, again, showing that he's saving us in his weakness. That he is there for us. He is the child king that has come to save his people from their sins. And included in that story is this story in that moment when the star shows up over the house. The baby came for you. And the baby didn't come so that we could be in control. The baby didn't come so that we could be strong. The baby didn't come so that everybody could look how great Christians are. No, the baby came for us because we're a mess. We're a mess. He came for us. He came for you. He came for me. He came in grace. He came in love. And he came with forgiveness. That star is shining over the house where forgiveness for us rests. That's Epiphany. That's Epiphany. That's today's conversation at the table. I hope you are having a great Tuesday. Hope you enjoy your Epiphany 2026, the 12th day of Christmas. Want to bring up, we got Bible study. If you happen to be in the area, if you're watching and you're in the RGV, if you're in the San Benito and Los Fresnos areas, Brownsville, we have a Bible study every Wednesday at Blanquitas here in San Benito. It's at noon, 1 hour, and we talk about anything you want to talk about. You show up, you got questions, we'll answer them. Typically, we're talking about what we talked about on Sunday, and we'll be talking about Jesus in the temple, unless you show up with questions. If you show up with questions, we'll talk about it, okay? If you got questions, you can even leave them right here on the Facebook page, and we'll talk about those things tomorrow at our Bible study. Jesus and Tacos is what we call it here. Jesus and Tacos at Blanquitas at noon here in San Benito. Until then, remember, you are loved by Jesus. Jesus unstoppably, unconditionally, and absolutely loves you. And that means that he always, always has you. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I want to say afternoon, and we're getting close to noon. It's a little later in the morning, but anyway, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and hope to see you at Blanquitas. And if you can't make Blanquitas, see us Sunday here at the Table Church, 10:30, where Jesus has promised to be with us.